In 1999, Morpheus offered Neo a choice between a red pill and a blue pill. In 2018, this country fractured between red and blue. In 2022, I'm here to tell you that if you really want the truth, more voters are neither red or blue. Yet, they have no representation, no choice, and no options. They have to choose between candidates chosen by the red people or the blue people. I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Congress as an American, as in red, white, and blue. I'm a veteran, an activist, and a small businessman. I'm asking you to join me in reminding the professional politicians in Congress who their bosses are. I support ranked choice voting, campaign finance reform, and a verified voter information system, all so we can stop having the best politicians money can buy. It's time to elect a veteran who will work for you, no matter what color they want to label you. Please go to electesrati.com and learn more. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. In Jurassic Park, you thought those little baby dinosaurs were cute until they turned into out-of-control carnivores. That's sort of what happens to government when we elect people based on very expensive advertising campaigns and propaganda. I'm David Esrati. I'm a veteran and a small businessman running for Congress. You don't want professional ad people and pollsters to sway your vote. All those hot-button issues like gun control, abortion, borders are all politicized to stop you from voting rationally. And thinking rationally seems to be in short supply these days. Most Americans have been voting against their own best self-interest for a long time because we've allowed money to buy our leaders. 1 million Americans died in the last 2 years because our leaders couldn't lead. It wasn't that hard. Mask, distance, test, and then vaccinate. In an instant, we had billions to spend on healthcare for COVID, when for years we've been told we can't provide healthcare for everyone equally in this country. That's an unintended consequence of the pandemic. If you think about it, our government can pretty much do whatever it wants, or what the people who buy our politicians tell our leaders to do. We also had a ton of money to prop up businesses. And next thing you know, it turns out that a living wage was not only possible, but necessary. As a small businessman who won't sell you out to corporate interests and lobbyists, I can tell you that it's time to fully understand the consequences of companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Google and their effect on small business. Hi, I'm David Esrati, and welcome to my daily live stream. I do this every day at 4, and the reason I do it is to give you a chance to interact with the candidate. This is something that no other candidate I know of is doing, and the plan is, if elected and I go to Congress, at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you what happened in Congress, what I did, why I did it, ask questions, respond, figure out what you want me to do, and be ready for the next day by telling you what's coming up and getting some insight as well. It's going this extra step to make sure that we're communicating. I'm representing you. I'm not just up there running my mouth, saying whatever I want. I'm doing what an elected representative does. Meets with their constituents. That's something Mike Turner hasn't done in 20 years. He hasn't had a town hall, he doesn't do things like this, and basically, unless you've got a lot of money, you're not talking to Mikey. So, I see I've got 2 viewers online. I'd love it if you'd say hello and tell me who you are, but if not, no big deal. We're going to talk about the stupidity of single-issue voters. And why are we talking about that today? Because I spent the whole weekend out at the Beavercreek Popcorn Festival talking to a whole lot of voters, handing out campaign literature, and getting feedback. And, you know, I sent something out in my email to all my supporters last night, and it sort of said that I never really aspired to spend my weekends standing there and stopping people as they're going through from booth to booth to booth to buy popcorn and elephant ears and oversized pork tenderloin sandwiches to talk about politics. In fact, I never thought I'd be in politics. But when somebody's a candidate and they're doing this and putting themselves out there, it doesn't hurt to be nice back to them and say thank you and good luck. And yeah, I'll look into this. But no, that's not what you get. There are dividing lines. There are people who make up decisions based on just one or two things. And it is painful to listen to some of the responses. Like I had one lady come back, and I'd given her my campaign piece. I'd given her my little pitch. And my pitch basically was, hi, I'm David Esrati. I'm running for Congress. I'm the guy that doesn't have 19 billionaires from out of state backing him. In fact, I don't even know a billionaire. Anyway, she takes it and she goes and she reads the first part, which says I'm pro-choice, and it says a 10-year-old rape victim had to go to Indiana for an abortion. If Mike Turner gets reelected, you may have to go to Canada to get one. Doctors and women should get to choose in my America. She comes back and she's very upset. What happened to the 10-year-old, the man who made the baby? I said, he got arrested. She's like, here! What does that have to do anything with any of this? It was just I'm not interested in you because a man raped a 10-year-old who can't consent. In fact, he raped her when she was 9. That blows my mind. I get people turn around and say, I'm an American, and they'd hand it back. Well, I'm an American too. Or, what's your position on gun control? And that one was really amazing because one of the people that asked me was literally, she sort of set me up. First she asked me about women's issues, and I told her, and then we talked about guns. And I said I was part of a well-regulated militia, and I have strong beliefs in what we should have for gun control. And so I started telling her about how I believe semi-automatic weapons should be in an armory, and that when you're training, there should be somebody else there with you. And when you're out with guns in public, you should be in uniform, so we know you're not some wild, guy about to walk into a high school or a shopping mall or a grocery store or a movie theater or the Oregon District and start shooting people. Because that's not what guns are for. And I don't think she agreed with that. But the reality is they talk about, guns. And they're very adamant about their guns. One guy, I keep my AR in my gun safe. I'm like, that's great. That's what you should do. But what I'm saying is you should be part of a well-regulated militia to go along with that. Make sure you're checked out. You've met standards. And when you want to go out and take it out, there's somebody else out there with you. Oh, he was just not very happy with that. However, his girlfriend, she was all in. So there's a split vote right there. So we also get I'm just a Republican. I can't vote for no stinking Democrats. Well, I don't know if there's a whole lot of difference between the two parties when you just talk Democrats and Republicans. Now, I think there's a little more difference when you start talking about Trumpers and Republicans than there is Democrats and Republicans. At least the Republicans that used to be the ones that were running, the ones that were halfway sane. But that's a whole nother matter. The reality is you're voting for somebody who's going to be one of 435 congressmen. One of 435. And that one person is not going to instantly have control over enough of a majority to get anything passed. So, what else does a congressman do? Well, they help you solve problems. When you call them, they respond, they answer the phone, they talk to you, they set somebody out to do an investigation, they help you with your veterans benefits, your Social Security benefits, your pension benefits, they help you with things like laws that don't make sense, those sorts of things. So, what does a junior congressman from Ohio expect to accomplish? You know, considering Mike Turner has 20 years experience, and before that he had 8 years of experience as a mayor of Dayton. I can tell you this much. When Mike Turner and I first ran for mayor back in 1993, he was driving a Dodge Shadow, which was a little Econobox with a Bush 1 bumper sticker on the back. Wasn't long after he became mayor, he was driving a Cadillac. And he was working for Raj Soin all of a sudden, who is the head of Modern Technologies Corporation and very wealthy. So Mike's fortunes changed pretty quick from just being a poor guy with a Dodge Shadow to now having 19 billionaires from out of state backing him. But what does he actually do? How many bills has he sponsored? What does he do for you? He says he works for the base all the time, but I'm sorry. You know, the base is only a part of our community. It's only a part of our economy. And while it is a large part, let's be realistic. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is one of the largest bases in the country. It isn't going to pull up stakes and leave no matter how many rounds of BRAC they do. They've got way too much money invested. And there are too many things that are really good about Wright-Pat. There's too many programs headed there. There's too much human capital surrounding this area based on it. It's not going to go anywhere. That's an absolute scare tactic, saying, well, if you vote for Esrati, the base will just shut down and go away. That's not going to happen either. But what will happen is hopefully other congressmen, congresswomen, people who've been there for a while, will want to have me on their committees or have me come in and help them reframe what they're trying to do in a way that is easy to communicate. One of the things I absolutely hate is all these abbreviations like the PACT Act. That's not the same as the Burn Pit Health Initiative or something else. It's the PACT Act. People can't equate burn pits poisoning our soldiers to the PACT Act. The Affordable Insulin Act sounds great, except that it didn't really provide affordable insulin, but it was a start. At some point, you need people who can make the story absolutely clear. The Republicans have been doing this very well since Newt Gingrich started his Contract for America and started really thinking about how we sell these things. That's something I can help with. So again, I was sitting there, one person after another, and the questions weren't that deep. Most of them were the single issue ones. Until this bright-eyed young lady came up to me and started asking me, I want to know what you're going to do for me. I'm like, wow, that's a big change. I said, well, my first job is to represent you, okay, to make sure that you know what's going on and that you can reach me, and I'm going to be able to help your voice be heard in D.C. And then I said, obviously, I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-responsible gun ownership. But there's more. I really have a different vision of how we collect taxes and how we put restrictions on small business, taxes on small business, to make it harder for them to pay payroll tax. And I started explaining how the payroll tax system works. And she said, that's really interesting, and I never thought of that. And I said, well, it's those sorts of little things that can have a huge impact when you realize that small businesses create more jobs than big businesses, and all these small business people have to put up with this stuff, and it can be a real rigmarole. And then I said, I also think we need to have a donor registration system, and she got a little more interested there. And I explained how I looked up one donor, a guy named Steve Cohen, who happens to now own the New York Mets and is a very wealthy man, and that you could find him in the Federal Elections Commission database multiple ways, with his name Stephen with a V, Stephen with a PH, and just Steve. And you can find his address in Connecticut and his address in New York. And you really have no clue how many people he gave to because he's in there multiple times. I said, we should have a donor registration system the same way we have a voter registration system. And she thought that was pretty interesting. And I was very happy to talk to her about it. But I said, the biggest problem is right now even getting on the ballot and getting support is difficult because the two parties who do not make up a majority of the voters in Ohio have their primaries and pick your candidates for you if you only vote in the general election. And I said, by the way, how old are you? And she said she's 17. I said, will you be 18 before this next election? She said, no, but I will be for the next one. I said, just remember, you can vote in the primary before you turn 18 if you'll be 18 before the election happens. And she was very excited. I said, of course, I really would like to see the primaries go away. I'd like to have ranked choice voting. At this point, she said, I like ranked choice voting. Now, does that make her a single issue candidate? No. But it makes her ask, we moved through a series of things to get to something that we both agreed on and that we thought was important as a major change in this country that's not one that divides people but could bring people more together, because with ranked choice voting, you get to rank your choices and we end up with a little more moderate type of person. And I believe in having a voter information system that assists in ranked choice voting to tell you which candidates more closely align with your views, something we don't have now. So she was all in and very interested, and honestly, she probably, hopefully, will sign up and help out with this campaign because she sees the value in having somebody that's willing to talk to her, work with her, and try to reach some common goals. She also understands that the system we have now is not helping her get her best choices on the ballot. Her name's Ellie, E-L-I. I've never seen it. That's usually a guy's name, and it's Eli. But no, her name was Ellie. And I was really happy she was the one bright spot of almost all the people I talked to. Now, sure, there were a couple Army veterans I talked to, a couple West Pointers who were married to each other. There was some Dayton public school teachers, other people that recognized me, a guy from the Carpenters Union, Mr. Hinkle. I was glad to see some of those people, but overall, there weren't a whole lot of people that were deeply interested in the future of their country. And that's what worries me. And that they sit there and choose just based on D or R and not the complete picture. One of my favorite quotes from any politician, I've had it on my campaign literature before, and I've got it on my door hangers now, is from former New York City Mayor Ed Cott, who said, go look at my positions. If you agree with me on 9 out of 12, vote for me. If you agree 12 out of 12, get professional help. I cannot be your perfect candidate. Nobody can be a perfect candidate. What you have to look at is the person as a whole. How well you can connect with them, how well you can access them, how well they're going to represent you, because in the end, that's all that counts. Are they representing you, or are they representing special interests and big money? One of the most interesting things, and I heard a bit about this on NPR, I'd already heard about it, but was California decided to do something about the cost of insulin. And they appropriated $100 million to build their own insulin factories and start producing their own insulin for their residents. Because they're concerned that people are dying, Americans are dying, because they can't afford $1,000 a month for insulin, when in other countries it'd be $25 a month. Now, you say, well, I'm not a diabetic. Well, you're not now, but someone you know might be. And that's what I consider national security. That nobody in this country has to ration their insulin, not go to a doctor early enough to catch cancer or catch any other diseases, that they don't have to declare bankruptcy to get their health care taken care of. These things are what I call national security. And I am sick and tired of hearing Mike Turner talk about working for the base and national security in terms of, protecting our fighting men. Because you know how you protect our fighting men and women? You keep them out of war through statesmanship. That means talking to people, working across the aisle, being collaborative. That's the mark of a good politician, a statesman. And honestly, I have yet to see it from Mike. So, I hope you're not a single issue voter. I don't know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I'd love to see comments if you've got any ideas. Wednesday, we're going to have Eric Price, who's running in, I think it's the 70th. It's part of Greene County. He's running for state rep. He's a fellow veteran. I was out there with him at the Popcorn Festival all weekend. Really amazing guy. Very tall, and you don't want to arm wrestle him. Literally, he was willing to arm wrestle people as they went by. One kid from Cedarville came up, and man, his arm was popping, and he still couldn't budge Eric. So Eric's going to come in on Wednesday. We're going to have a talk. I'm also inviting LaRonda Jackson, who's running against Phil Plummer, Addison Caruso, and Meg Oberman. I think that's her name. I can't remember right now. To come in and be on this stage, so to speak. Help them get some exposure, practice, get a video where we talk about why we run, what our goals are, and everything else. If you've got somebody you think would be great to come on this, hey, come on out. I got a new endorsement. Actually, it was back in May, but I didn't get the email, but I am now endorsed by Everytown for Gun Safety. So I have 5 endorsements on the site. And this Wednesday, after I have Eric here, I'm having a little birthday party, and you're all welcome to come. It'll be at Coco's downtown on Warren Street. They're a former client, good friend, and we'll have a nice meal. We'll have some music. You'll have a chance to win a Shepard Fairey print. You'll get a t-shirt, and it's only a $125 donation. I know that's kind of crass asking you to donate, but it should be a good time. Should be some good people there, and I'd really appreciate it because I need money to keep this campaign going because I don't know 19 billionaires from out of state. And hopefully you don't either. Anyway, hope to see you there Wednesday night. Please go to Elect Esrati, go under events. You can see it right there. And register if you'd like to come. I'd love to have you. I put up a video also of the South Dayton Democrats Candidates Night. So that's up there for everybody to see. And we've got some new videos coming out hopefully this week for the campaign. And we're almost trying to get on track for canvassing and hopefully have everything set for you to go out door to door if you don't already have a list for somebody else. We've got campaign door hangers. We've got hot cards. We've got stuffers for envelopes. And we'd love to bring you on board in the campaign. You can go volunteer at electesrati.com/act. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. We had 6 people watching almost the whole time. Nobody said anything except for Chuck P, who says, "Keep it up, David." Hey, Chuck, thank you. Also, one other thing. I posted for the first time in a while on my Esrati.com blog to announce that Dayton Public Schools is hiring David Lawrence as their business manager. So you might want to scoot over to Esrati.com and read about that. I think it's a great step in the right direction for Dayton Public Schools. And hi, Tam, and thank you. And I love when I see feedback and comments, and I hope you understand what the goal is and the objective, and you get other people to watch, or you watch it later. We have quite a few people that watch after the fact, and we've reposted Friday's video about the 30-second stupidity of commercials that actually will stream correctly so you can watch it, because we were having some internet issues, and we're working on solving that. We've got a new router coming in, hopefully tomorrow or the next day, and that should permanently solve any problems we have with our stream. So, thank you so much. I really appreciate every one of you for watching. I hope you'll enjoy when we have other candidates in or guests, and thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.